Well, I don't like the idea to have investors of my company right now. So because they try to grow too quickly. It's just, they start growing without
Yeah.
making sure they have like a good reputation and making money on the hostel line. Like we don't open more properties if we are not making money in the old ones.
Hello, friends and travelers. Thanks for listening. You are riding along on the Hostel Road Trip podcast. Our mission is to spread awareness of the true hosteling experience in the Americas and share stories from the fascinating hosts who create those unique facilities. I'm your host, Jimmy Black, joined alongside co-founder of International Travelers House, Bobby Dyer. Each session, we sit down with hostel operators or travel influencers to hear about their road to success, discuss trending hostel topics, and close with tips for travelers who are seeking to have the ultimate experience when visiting each destination. You can't afford to miss this trip. Now fasten your seatbelts and let's hit the road.
All right. Welcome back to the Hostel Road Trip podcast. We are here, myself, Jimmy Black, and Bobby Dyer of ITH Hostels. We are here with Matias of Che Hostels in Mexico. Thank you so much for joining us for this exciting episode. And we're going to be diving into not only Matias' personal journey into hostels, but also what it's like to run multiple hostels, as Che's grown into quite a force down there in Mexico, and then touch into a bit about the hostel industry in Mexico and a lot of the really cool things going on down there. I always feel like Mexico's really in as far as hostels go, authentic, genuine backpacker hostel vibe and style of traveler is really cool to experience down there. Whereas a lot of other countries are going in a different direction with hostels, or becoming more like hotels, or becoming very much catered to like the American clientele up here who's into more privacy. So I think Mexico is just right for the experience of hosteling. But Mateus, tell us how you got into hosteling. What was your first exposure? As it was as a guest or as a staff worker?
And well, thanks for having me here, guys. My first experience with hostels was probably when we were on traveling on a really low budget. So we sleep on a tent with my friends on the background of the street or whatever. We can sleep for free. Going to a bar, and there were people saying, "Yeah, we pay really cheap in that place called a hostel. We were paying zero sleeping on the street." But there were people saying, "No, this is a cool place, hostel for $1, $2 in Argentina." So of course we have no money at that time, so we just keep sleeping for free on the tent until I start working and get some cash and say, okay, I will go to this place that they call hostel and see. They look cool people all in the bar and not like fancy ones. So that was the first time I heard about hostel, like probably drinking in a bar with random guests. I was like 18, 17, something like that. And I guess my first time in a hostel was when I was 19. I was traveling by myself alone for 5 days and say, okay, time to go to a hostel and to meet some people. And since that point, I started as every time I travel, Europe, Argentina, Peru, US was always in hostels. It was always the vibe, the party, the meeting people, going out, drinking. Like when you are 18, 19, 20, you can go to the museum, but the important thing is that meet people and hang out. So that's how I get into like the life of the hostel industry. And then I used to be engineer, or I guess I still am. I used to work in IBM and big like Microsoft, and I just quit everything and moved to
Oh,
Mexico.
wow.
When I was something like
All
24, I
right.
moved to Mexico, and I decided it was time to move to Mexico and be a photographer or something like that. That never really worked out. I was supposed to be a snorkeling photographer. I just broke my first camera when I went down the water. I was yeah. So I stayed in a hostel and I was living for like 6 months in a hostel in Playa Del Carmen, like 12 years ago. Um, and but that time I was in the best hostel of Playa del Carmen, and it was probably a horrible hostel. I mean, it was amazing, but like this kind of old bunk beds with full of bed bags, and they have like this free breakfast every day with coffee, bread, and a big jar of. I cannot believe it's not butter. And like, it was yeah, that was my breakfast for 6 months. And I was remember, like, in Europe, the hotels were more fancy, more nice. But this hotel was amazing. It has a pool, party, vibes, everything. It was really all like, so I started thinking, okay, I think I can do this like better, like if I have the opportunity. And then in one moment during my stay in Playa del Carmen, there was a building that were supposed to become a hostel, and then the owner stopped the idea, and he decided to create apartments, and we were living there. And I say, hey, if, instead of change everything, if this is a kind of a old hostel, let me just pay the rent, the whole building, and I can like take the property. And that's how we start. Like it was like it was an old hostel that the owners quit, and the owner of the property is going to change into apartment. And I told him like, keep it like that. I will pay the rent. You don't put any dollar. I just will keep the old bunk bed, the old mattress, and I will start to create a hostel here. And that's how we started. Like, that was 13 years ago in Playa del Carmen. And it was a good time for Playa del Carmen.
So that first location was Playa del Carmen.
Yep. At that time, everyone was going to Playa del Carmen. That was really helpful. Like it was fucking full every time. Like New Year was madness. It was before Tulum exists. It was before like all the new destinations in Mexico really pop up. At that time, everyone was supposed to go to Playa del Carmen, and that really helped. Like you have any shit place, and it will work for a few years. Everything was like, yeah. So that helped us to start. Like you start having guests quickly. I remember it was like $3 a bed, something like we were the cheapest one when we started. No reviews, no experience, just go cheap.
Wow.
Now, so that was the first location. How long before you opened your second location? After that?
Yeah, we opened a small restaurant that didn't really work out. So we have another business for 3-4 years, and then 4 years after the first one, we decided to open the second hostel. And it was lucky that that I went to a conference in Madrid, the one I met you like in Oregon last year. At that conference, there was a lot of people from the industry. And I was thinking to open a second property in Playa del Carmen. The hour was for like 50 beds, but it was always full. Always full. So I was thinking, okay, it's time to have maybe a second location in Playa with maybe cheaper, different. But then when I went to the conference, I was asking to people that have multiple properties in Europe. And one of them, they were in Russia, they told me it's better to open like second location because you will learn much more with 2 different locations. And if something happened with the first location, you will have the second one. And so I took that advice from the conference. And so I changed my mind to go to second location, Playa del Carmen, and we went to Tulum. That it was starting having some name at the point, because at the beginning I would say there is nothing in Tulum, but that was like 8 years ago. Tulum was just people start going there. So that's why we decided, okay, it's time to go to a second location 4 years after the first one. Because I went to a conference and I took the advice of people who already have multiple properties. If not, I will probably have the mistake to have the second Playa del Carmen, make some money for a few years, and then when Playa del Carmen went down, I would probably really, really, really down, because Tulum saved Playa del Carmen when Playa got really bad years after that.
Yeah, no, that's very good advice. In that, of course, it is challenging to have more than one location, especially in different cities. But it really does give yourself that diversity, that if a particular city that you're operating out of starts to have a downtrend or a downtick that really isn't in your control, you can really have that strength within the variety of your locations, and also in different seasons and things like that. So how many Che hostels are there in total?
Right now, we open the 9th one next Monday in San Cristobal.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Where is that one opening?
It's in San Cristobal in Chiapas. It's the middle of the connection between the Caribbean side with the Pacific side in the mountains. You go to it's the first one with no pool and in the winter. It's a cold.
That's exciting. Yes, congratulations. All right. Yeah.
So that's the 9th one.
That's number 9. Go get them. Wow. Now, with that, that's a huge jump right there. We were talking about opening a second location. and the challenges, but also the benefits of the variety. Now that you're all the way up there, moving into that ninth location, how has your structure evolved? Would you say that you have a lot of like departmentalization or management levels, or how often do you get your hands in the sauce of like actually working at the hostels? How has that evolved for you?
Right now, I'm not on the direct operation anymore. Still, even I go to all the hostels to talk to the people, and I don't talk to the guests. I talk to the guests, but as a infiltrate guest, like I just go to the pool, I just talk to the guests, but they don't know who I am. But I
Yeah.
talk to the employees. Right now, we learned that we have regions. Like every 2 hostels, we have a region. Then we have 4 hostels in the Caribbean side. So we have people like one region in the Caribbean, one region in the Pacific, so they can travel between them. But for
Okay.
example, we have right now Playa and Holbox Island. They are just one manager for those two, and then you have Tulum and Bacalar, which is like 2 hours different. You have another guy from those two, and then one above for the 4 of them on the operation level. And then operation, I mean like receptionist, food and beverage, like the bartender, cleaning, maintenance. And then we have like a kind of a corporate or back office that you have, the bookings, marketing, supplies, IT. And we have a main office in Playa del Carmen, but there's not too many people right there. And then we have maybe one people of marketing content in the Pacific side, and one guy of bookings that works on the Pacific side. I mean, they have one leader, but right now we have people spread around the country. In the past, we used to have like all the corporate in the office, but they were like
Yeah.
a lack the connection between the office and the operation. And there was a fighting between the office. Like you are always sitting with AC, we are here on the front desk, and
Yeah.
so it was a lot. So we decided to start moving the people. So okay, you're gonna take care of those 2 properties. So you're gonna leave to the city, and you're gonna be working from the hostel, in the co-working, like in your home, or most of the time on the hostel, talking with operations. So, because sometimes someone buys something for mistake, and the bartender say, no, I didn't buy this, I ordered other thing, but the guy delivered with this alcohol, we don't sell this. If everyone is on the same place, they are together. So okay, they have to
Yeah.
sort it together. It's not that email saying it's not my fault, it was the office, and the office say no, it was the operation. So we try to put the people from the office in the operation right now, because if not, there were no integration. They were still fighting for my department, your department, and at the end we are one company, one guest.
Yeah, no, and that's some great advice and insights into that of how to scale up in this business and have the multiple locations. And I think it's probably relevant to all business operations, but so often you have the people that are, on the scene, the foot soldiers, and then you have the people behind the curtain, and they're both telling a different story and blaming each other, and then that falls on you and flows up.
If something blows up, but they're both on the
Yeah.
operation, even if you work in the office, but you are in the operation, like you can help to solve the problem. It's not like you are 1,000 miles away and you just got a WhatsApp say, I don't know, like you are both there. You have to, even they're still fighting between operation and back office, but they are together. So because it's a big,
Yeah.
they always blame one, like the operation from the back office is fighting sometimes. So
Oh yeah.
we try to
And
make as a team.
You'll spend all of your time running around trying to catch up with the latest one's report. But that's something that definitely we've experienced is similar of, it's so important to integrate those two and to have them working together and to keep people on site and in touch with the experience in the operation across the board from front to back. That's such a great help.
I think it's key that a lot of people from the back office, before they work on the operation, right? The people from the booking before used to work on like receptionist, so they know how it is. Mm-hmm. Those that maybe they didn't never work on the operation, like maybe human resources sometimes, or the marketing, they sometimes don't understand how it's having like a guest complaining in front of you, screaming, like all the shit is happening in the hostel. But if you work there and then you move to the office, you have more empathy with the team. When I remember when I was receptionist, that was horrible. So you try to help when that happened.
Absolutely, 100%. And absolutely agree with that. With promoting from within and moving people from that side to the other side, and now they can have that relevant connection. And then also the operation people have, they have respect for them too because they know, okay, this person had my job before. They know what I'm talking about. So I think there's so many advantages to that. Yeah, yeah, like that, and that's awesome to see. So now, so you had said it was your first one without a pool. So all the other locations have like a pool and a bar and a restaurant, or just a bar? What does each one of them have? One of those type of side operations?
All of the rest have a swimming pool, uh, one of them bigger than the others, and we have a bar and restaurant in most of them. But for example, in Playa del Carmen, which is the first one, it's really small and it's full of restaurants around. We only make like dinner party, like pizza night or burger. We don't have a proper restaurant because it's too small the place, and it's during daytime. It's too hot and it's full of restaurants around. But it's the only one probably. In all of the rest, we have like a full restaurant with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Um, in the past, I remember when I used to say, like, I will never charge for a breakfast because breakfast in the hostel is supposed to be free. But then when people start changing, the guests change. And I remember having like better breakfast, and I was 100 people going for a free breakfast with everything. And I remember one complaint saying, they only have one type of cheese. And I was, okay, so you know what? We're going to charge it, then I make it great, but it's not going to be free anymore because it doesn't matter what you do if it's free. They're always gonna find a way to complain, and it was a mess of 100 guys arriving 10 minutes before close, eating everything, and they get used to like I remember like big change like selling in the past generator. They start selling, and people got used to pay for breakfast, and so we changed, and we have our like full restaurant right now, and it was never a problem, and we have less complaints about the free breakfast.
Yeah, no, and that's the evolution of things. I know what you mean by that. Some ways, sometimes you start with such a perspective in one way, and over time, you learn to change with it and adapt. How much of a revenue from like the food and beverage compared to the hostel beds? What would you say is like a general percentage? Like, is it like a half and half, or like what makes most?
Is 30% food and beverage. Like in the full company, like of course some destinations are like higher or lower, but in the full company it's 30%, like probably 20 something beverage and 10% is food, and then 70% is between accommodation and experience. Experience, right now we are not selling much. We need to make a big change there because we have a lot of location, but we never really invest on having like a tour operation. But we should, because it's another revenue income that we should have in so many locations. We are like not using the logistic and all the people that we have to start having our own tour. We have, but we are not making such a money, such a revenue that we can. Experience.
How do you? It's interesting as we have a hostel in Mexico. There's so many U.S. and Canadian travelers that come down. Right. So you're really hosting completely different customers compared to the Mexican travelers. Right. So you got to cater to both sides, I guess. How have you strategized to do both those, and what is the, maybe ties into the bar element, but the best strategy to have a hostel in Mexico that can cater to Mexicans and also to foreigners? What have you found to work best?
It's a difficult question because first of all, Mexicans are not so used to traveling hostels. Even that now it's growing and growing. Like 15 years ago, it wasn't so like the most common. And then we have 90% of our guests, they are not Mexican. So we have only 10-12% of Mexican. But now we see that market is still growing. And I don't like when I receive bad review saying, I feel like racist or something because I'm Mexican. Like I feel like everyone was speaking English, or all the sign was in English and not in Spanish. So it's difficult because 90% of our customers are from the rest of the world. And
Yeah, that is a challenge.
We don't have a specific strategy to say, okay, we want to this culture feel happy. We try to make everyone feel happy.
Yeah.
So like sometimes we have, of course, we do tacos, but the tacos are not so. They're kind of more tourist tacos. So it's a Mexican probably eat. We say that's not a we eat at home.
We
But
had that
that's
happen to
how.
us. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Mexicans.
but
We tried to serve tacos and they laughed at us.
Yeah.
yeah, that happened.
Mm.
It is a
No,
problem, but
it,
Now,
we
what
should try
about?
to connect everyone.
No, what now? What about for Che Hostels? You're at 9 now. Open up your ninth one. How many? Do you have like a goal in mind of how many you'd like to have, or is that not something that's really like how you work it, or how many locations do you think you're going to go for?
We probably to have the complete south of Mexico. We probably need to have like 12. We need going to Oaxaca, Mexico City, and probably Isla Mujeres. That will be like a nice spot. But Mexico City and Oaxaca are probably the other two locations that we would like to have because
Nice.
a lot of tourists they enter to the country in Cancun and make all the south Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, Bacalar, and they cross to the Pacific side, Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, and end the trip in Mexico City. So Mexico City and Cancun are the main airports. So most of the tourists that we have, they enter from one of those airports and make all the round. From Mexico City to like north, our customers probably different, like maybe Sayulita, Guadalajara, Los Cabos. It's kind of sometimes different people, not different, another kind of trip. So
Yeah.
that's why we're thinking of Oaxaca, Mexico City, because if you start in Mexico City and start going down, you will go to Oaxaca, Puerto Escondido, San Cristobal. And if you go Cancun, you will. So that's like our kind of our road, no? From
Yeah.
Cancun to Mexico City.
That's
And of
awesome.
course, I would
No,
like
yeah,
to
that's
go
great. And I
international,
think that, yeah,
that takes more time.
yeah, it's tough to juggle all of them, but 12's a good number right there. Yeah, that's a solid. Now, what do you think about for the hostel industry in Mexico? What do you feel about? Do you feel like there's still a lot of growth that's going to happen with more hostels opening, or is there enough space for that to happen? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the industry is growing, and it's gonna keep growing for the next 10 years because all these people are getting more and more used to travel on hostels. But also the competition is growing. Like more chains are arriving. For example, Viajeros arrived like a few years ago, and now they have 4 or 5, and it's getting more professional. Like another companies, they're getting investment from big groups, so you can start seeing this hostel of 400 beds or 300 beds arriving to Mexico. So the industry, like the market will grow, but sometimes the offering is growing quicker, and you can see like for example in Puerto Escondido we opened 2 years ago, and now in that we were not the first one, of course, but now like it's getting like more and more hostels opening. So maybe in 2 3 years, it's gonna be too many hostels in one location.
Yeah.
The same happened to Tulum. Tulum right now is full of hostels and no tourists. And now Tulum is going down. So it's not a mature country on hostels. It's a lot of destinations are new. Like Playa del Carmen is new. Tulum is quite new. Puerto Escondido is in a boom. So a lot of destinations. It's not like New York or Madrid that you have like tourists. Like you know how it's gonna be. Like Sayulita is the same. It's going up and down, up and
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it is an interesting ride and aspect to the industry in Mexico. You know, you kind of catch the wave of the town as it's becoming popular, as it's on its rise. You can ride that wave, but then there's the other side of it as well. Now,
Yeah,
you
we
had
were very lucky with having on the ride because we've been in Playa because I was in Playa and I was just the boom. Then we moved to Tulum, I was a boom. And then we said, Holbox, the next one, and Holbox was a boom. And now we went to Puerto Escondido, but we are maybe 1 year later. But now Puerto Escondido is probably 40% of the income from the company is coming from Puerto Escondido. It's fully full, while the rest is having like problems right now. Like Tulum,
yeah,
right now, everyone is suffering because it's just too many offering right now, and the tourism is down. So
yeah,
that's why it's good and not bad.
yeah. But
You need
that's
to be
what,
ready to go down.
yeah, that helps with the multiple locations, right? Because while if you were one operation in Tulum, you might be in a lot of trouble right now because
You have five in Tulum, you will work.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
five in Tulum, it works. Like
Yeah.
if we didn't open Puerto right now, we were kind of like, okay, we would probably like going even between all of the properties because a few of them are just going down this year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know, we know that game well. Yeah.
What is what is your reaction to, Selena going bankrupt and now they just left Sayulita? They're gone. So how do you avoid becoming Selena? Obviously, it was a beautiful brand, great branding, beautiful property, but didn't make any money and went out of business. So how do you go
I would
grow
say
but
that
avoid becoming them?
a few of them make a lot of money when they went to the market, and then a few people make some money there down there in the way. Not the investors probably, but the founders probably they make money. Well, I don't like the idea to have investors of my company right now, so because they try to grow too quickly. It's just, they start growing without
Yeah.
making sure they have like a good reputation and making money on the whole time. Like we don't open more properties if we are not making money in the old ones. Maybe we have one bad or two bad. But Selena just open, and then the quality were bad, and they get too expensive on rent. I think all the brokers make a lot of money because what Selena pays for the properties was insane. Like I would never pay that much money. Like you cannot make
Right.
money with this rent. But the brokers they say, oh, have this beautiful location, rent it. I don't know, so much money, and they just rent and start working, hoping that in the future they will make money. But then when things go bad, these kind of expensive, like too expensive rent, they just went. I don't know how they could make money with those rents.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I don't know. And it's interesting. I don't know if you see the same thing at your location, but I feel like the travelers in Mexico, the market is like kind of party and surf. There's kind of that backpacker party surf, and then there's kind of luxury, and you got to kind of you got to go one way or the other to really fill up. And I feel like Selena was kind of like luxury budget. So there was kind of like they missed the mark because often there wasn't the vibe. It was too corporate, felt too big. So travelers said, I just didn't get to meet anybody. It's nice, beautiful product, but it just didn't have the community vibe, even though they tried to put on the events. Or you go with the
maybe the
luxury vibe. But
maybe the ones they have in Panama or the first one that was much more focused on the experience. But you cannot grow like 10 hostels in a month or like 50 hotels in a year and have managers and experienced team. There is not so many professionals on the industry. Like it's a new industry. You cannot find 50 managers with 10 years of experience to
That's true.
so they open, and they will have. It was a hotel with beds and no experienced team. So, but the first one of Selena, probably the ones in Panama and Costa Rica, they were really nice and good, and you have very nice reviews. Lucky us in Mexico, they probably have the worst management because all the Selena in Mexico were really, really bad managed compared with the other countries they have.
what do you do to when you're opening your new locations to get that vibe right and get it off on the right foot? As we can relate to this, but I'm interested in your perspective. As it's a very tricky dance to open up a new location and then leave, and make sure that it stays on course. What do you focus on to try to make sure it gets off on the right foot and you can leave and it stays on the right foot as you had envisioned?
Well, I would say like we have a big family team. Like we have friends inside the company. Like we're on holidays with our like teammates and the workmates. Like right now, because a lot of people, even we have a lot of people from other countries working on the company, but even Mexican people, they are not from Tulum. They are not from Playa del Carmen because these are all tourist destinations. So it's people from Guadalajara, Mexico City. So they leave their family behind, and we have a really family like team. So the managers and the leads of the company has been with us for like 10 years, 7 years, and they all start like the receptionists or volunteers. So that keeps the staff is a really hostel staff. They really enjoy being in the hostel. So that keeps the vibe. Like, when you find a manager, that he used to be in the bar, then he went to reception, then he's friends from this other guy who works together because the family are abroad. So that keeps the team really connected. Most of them, that they work and they go home. Like they work and they go home and they come to the bar because their friends are their workmates. So that keeps the vibe in all the destinations. working. The only thing I'm seeing the last time is like managers are getting old. We all getting old, but you cannot have the same. You see the guests; they are always the same age. I don't know what they do. They always
All
20,
right.
20 something, and we're always getting higher. So if the managers start getting kind of the 30, 35, something like that, then start getting like they don't have the energy they have when they are 25. The energy to going out to talk to everyone, and you cannot have the same problems like 1 year, second year. So after a few years, you start getting tired as a manager to dealing with these kids of, the UK is 20 something breaking the wall or they just smashing things because they are drunk. So you need to keep the managers and receptionists full of energy. So I'm seeing that now you need to keep a young team, to be honest, to work most of because it's kind of we're on the beach, so if surf is party is going up, people on the beach are more wanting going out. So you need to have people who is willing to accept to have like a destroyers guests. They're gonna get high, get drunk, breaking the rules, everything. And as the manager, they start getting tired after a few years with the same like issues. And say, again, this guy, again, this happened. So they start losing connection with the guests and also with the employees because the employees have make the same problems also. Sometimes they are worse than the guests. So that's the only thing. And keep growing, allow us to move the managers or the reception leader to like more to have like a panoramic view of the company. So they start working 2-3 properties so they can manage delivery, be focused, and you keep the youngest like connecting with the people on the front. I would say like that we have a big family, which was difficult to build, but right now a lot of people they can have better salaries in other 5-star hotels or whatever. But because it's a really big family, when they had to leave, they really think about it because they really enjoy working on the hostel, working with their teammates, and enjoying the parties with the guests and with the teammates. But yeah, that also brings the other side. They go out, they drink, they get laid between each other, and then they fight, and then you have romance, and then you have people complaining, and they get all the problems when you go to another country, 25 on the beach party in Tulum. Yeah, things happen.
No, that's so true. But great advice, to look at it and build it like a family. Those are pillars, in the foundation. And then if you grow from there, I find that going in that, promote from within, build that family style atmosphere, you do get people that stay, that put a value on that quality of life and happiness that you provide within that. And then that inspires the people beneath them, to want to stay as well. Yeah, it's actually, unfortunately, it's not a very common thing to find because there's so many more corporate style structures and big box style companies that you're not going to get that intimacy of a family style run operation. We just got our baby size ITH shirts for Bobby's kids and some of the other managers that are now having babies and whatnot. So, I think that's a great thing to create that culture.
Yeah, I laughed. I took my kids in there we were doing one of the parties at the hostel community night, and I had my kid run around in there, and one of the guests was like, "What is this, a nursery?" And I was like, "Damn, that's it. I'm that old guy with the kid, hanging out at the hostel, messing up the vibe." So I can relate to that. But
the guests are always 20.
Right? Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. But and before you go, we definitely want to get some insight on the Naha conference coming to Playa del Carmen. We're excited that it's going to be hosted there. I guess give us a little announcement about what you expect and what kind of what the plan is for all the people looking to come to the conference.
Well, we want to make it fun. Definitely, it should be fun, and we would like to have a lot of like activities that include also enjoying because it's the Caribbean side and it's a really April is a 1/2 of April. It's a really nice weather in Playa del Carmen. So we want to have like maybe have some spots or some space to just enjoy the swimming pool with a margarita, enjoying Mexican food while sharing knowledge. And also we have the post trip to Holbox Island, which is probably one of the most beautiful destinations when it's in the good season. And so I would like to have like, a really a conference that you will share knowledge, and we have a really good speakers, but also like to enjoy the Caribbean and to enjoy the Mexico, because when you're in US or Canada, it's more like professional, more like call, like more corporate. While here, we're probably going to be in sandals and shorts and with drinking and enjoying the swimming pool. So we want to mix, like, the vibe in Mexico, in the Caribbean of Mexico, plus the connection between a lot of your industry, which is, it's always nice to go to a conference of hostels. It's always young people and knowledge people, and it's not boring like an IT conference where I used to go when I was an engineer. Like hostel industry conference are always fun. Like always happy people enjoying drinking, and a lot of professionals around that create the knowledge that help us to keep growing. No, so it's gonna be. Hope it's gonna be different. It's gonna be Mexican Caribbean life.
Nice.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, Matias. Che Hostels. You definitely made me want to go visit some of your places. I'm putting that on my bucket list for a little personal vacation. But
we have a conference in April. You're welcome to come share your knowledge, and we have some drinks here.
Oh, I could be a patron at every one of those bars. But I look forward to it, and I absolutely look forward to the NAHA conference coming in April 2025. Make sure all of you get your tickets and make your travel arrangements. It's going to be a fun one, and I think it's going to be one of the best conferences for the hostel industry ever. So looking forward to it. Thanks so much, guys.
No, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.